afternoon, and welcome back to Neuqua Connections. I'm your host today, Luke Townshend. I'm joined here by Mr. Lonny. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Luke. How are you?
I'm doing really good. You've had a very interesting life from playing football at the Naval Academy and then switching sports and going professional in baseball, and then also just with your businesses and your success in that. And I would like to just get to know a little bit more about that. Fortunately, we don't have a lot of time, so let's just jump right into it.
Sure.
How did your football career start?
I played in high school football in Illinois. My junior year, I was playing baseball, and one of my teammates who was our quarterback said, "Lonny, you should come out and play football. We've got a really good team." That school was Lake Park High School. So I went out for football as a junior, did really well, and had opportunities to play in college.
So you said you had like multiple different opportunities. What made you decide to go to the Naval Academy versus other colleges?
There were a few reasons. I was fortunate to be recruited and to have an opportunity to play at all three of the service academies: West Point, the Naval Academy, Annapolis, where I went to school, and Air Force Academy. And I also had other schools, high educational institutions, all the Ivy League schools provided me an opportunity to go play there. I chose the Naval Academy because of the history and the storied curriculum, the leadership that they instill in the midshipmen that are there, and I chose to serve my country that way.
Yeah. I mean, the Naval Academy does have all that history and all of that respect and leadership. How do you think that shaped you as a person to who you are now?
Well, I think it had played a major impact, major role in shaping who I am, what I believe in, what I understand, certainly how I treat people, how I lead. I mean, they put a lot of pressure on you when you show up day one, and they teach you how to manage and lead through that kind of pressure. It was actually pretty amazing.
So about that pressure, can you just tell us a little bit more about your time at the Naval Academy?
Sure. 4 years of hell. It was not easy and often not fun.
Yeah.
It was a commitment. Probably not a day that went by in the first 2 years I was there that I didn't not want to leave. And I wanted to leave, and I got help. I had great teachers that I went in high school that reached out to me for support. Even Coach Krzyzewski from Duke, who went to West Point, through my parents and a relationship and a friendship, would send me messages like, "Hey, Lonny, stick it out. It'll be worth it." Yeah, it was very challenging, just to stay there.
Yeah. How'd you finish at the Naval Academy, like at your time end?
Well, I actually graduated last in my class.
Oh.
Yeah. I was the anchorman. It was an interesting kind of deal. The anchorman gets a standing ovation at graduation. Typically, you get $1 from all your classmates, and some of my friends were throwing me $100 bills at graduation. So President George Bush Sr. was a commencement speaker at our ceremony. So when they called my name up and I got a standing ovation in the football stadium where graduation was, they stopped calling names, and it was pretty cool. And I got great pictures of carrying my military cover, my hat, filled with cash from my friends who were throwing me money as I was walking to and from the stage. It was interesting. And then somehow it got picked up on the AP wire, and I got invited to be a guest on the David Letterman show.
That's really special, really special. So even though you graduated last, I mean, that's still a great accomplishment considering the fact of how strict and the regiments are there. And only 3% of people even getting accepted into the Naval Academy. Do you regret going there now after the 4 years? Would you change it?
No, no regrets whatsoever. My life has been blessed. I've been challenged. I've failed an awful lot. I've learned an awful lot, but I have no regrets. I would not say I have even the slightest amount of regret. But if I had to do it all over again, I had opportunities to play baseball at Stanford, football at Nebraska, or other Ivy League schools. I don't know that I would go through that again, having been through it. It's pretty tough.
So what did you do after the Naval Academy? Because don't you have to serve a certain amount of time?
You do, yeah. I was a commissioned officer in the Navy. I was stationed on a submarine base in Point Loma, California, San Diego area, and I ran a hazardous materials division for that submarine base. The military let me out of my commitment. I had some injuries. I broke my neck playing football, and I had 4 knee surgeries when I was at the academy with sports. So I couldn't do the things that I wanted to do when I went there, like fly jets. I wanted to be a SEAL. I wanted to be special operator. I couldn't do that anymore. So my service selection when I graduated was limited, and the Navy in 1992 when I commissioned was downsizing, so they let me out of my 5-year commitment after only about a year.
So you talked about flying jets. Did you ever get to do that? Because I know you told me a little about that before the show.
I did. I was 19 years old, and our officer rep, Commander Gattuso, on the football team my freshman year, set it up so that I went down to Corpus Christi and Brownsville, Texas, and got a chance to fly military jets, the TA-4, which was the simulated MiG in the movie Top Gun.
Oh, wow.
The T-2, the T-34, T-44, high-performance single prop and twin prop jets. Of course, I wasn't the only pilot. I was a co-pilot, and I got about 6 hours of actual flight time, stick time.
That's
so doing all kinds of maneuvers.
Yeah, that was very, very cool and a lot of action-packed. Going away from the Navy Academy, you played professional baseball. How'd that go about from your injuries and that setback? How'd you end up playing professional baseball?
Sure. Okay. Well, after my sophomore year, I played football and played enough and earned a letter. In spring football of my sophomore year, I was making a tackle and broke my neck. So they wouldn't let me play football anymore. So I walked onto the baseball team, and I had some great success. I was invited to the Olympic tryouts in 1992. I was one of 10 invitees to try out for the Olympic team. Unfortunately, I didn't make the Olympic team that year, but I knew I could play. All the outfielders that made the team ahead of me were all first-round picks. Yeah. So I knew I could play. And then when I got out of the military, I just started knocking on doors. I called the San Diego Padres scouting department. I called other teams, told them my background, started doing workouts, started training out in Southern California, found an agent, got introduced to some people, and through a lot of rejection, I must have been rejected by about 12 or so pro scouts that told me I was too old, or I was good, but it was too hard for them to sign me. A Hall of Fame scout from the San Francisco Giants organization named George Genovese signed me. And that was a pretty special day. That was March 8th, 1993.
Wow. I bet, considering the fact you just remember it, the day. So how is, your football, body and the workouts different from baseball? Because, they're two different sports, but, you're obviously an athletic enough person, switching back and forth, but how is it different?
I think football, the condition I was in when I was playing Division I college football, it was explosive. I trained my entire body. You were in car accidents every time you hit somebody, and you needed to be bigger and stronger and more explosive. Baseball was a little bit more endurance, flexibility. So it was still intense training because playing 140 or 160 game baseball season is a lot on the body, but it wasn't just as physically demanding in the competition of a football game like baseball, so the training was a little bit different. But in both cases, speed was critical, so I spent a lot of time focusing on that.
Between football and baseball, do you, if you had to go one sport, for the rest of your life, which one would you go with?
I would play football.
Football? So is that where your heart is?
It is, yeah. We're a football family. All 3 of my boys played. My 2 older boys are playing in college at the University of Wisconsin-Platteville. They're receivers. They played here at Neuqua Valley. My younger son is also a 3-year starter on varsity at Neuqua Valley going into his 4th year. So, we're definitely a football family. My daughter's a cheerleader and a track athlete. So, but we're definitely a football family.
And you created or helped create a football program outside of Neuqua, right? Can you tell me just a little bit about that?
Sure. It's called Midwest Boom. 11 years ago, we started a Midwest Boom. It was a high school 7-on-7 football program, which is, I guess it would be equivalent to AAU basketball. So it's not high school affiliated, but we deal with high school athletes. And 11 years ago, we started it. And as of right now, 11 years later, we've won 18 national championships, over 110 regional, super regional tournaments. And we've had great success. Moreover, we've helped hundreds of athletes earn scholarships at the next level. From the underprivileged inner city kids that financially don't have the means to afford college, to help them get exposure, and help them to get their educations paid for, to kids that are just really talented that just don't have the exposure. It's been awesome to see the success, and my favorite part of that isn't the winning. It's just keeping in touch with all the kids that we have. We have kids playing in the NFL now from our program. They play in major college programs on Saturdays, and it's just so rewarding for myself, and I know my partners that started it and the other coaches, to help so many kids to accomplish their dreams, and to help them get their education paid for, so that they can achieve the things they want to achieve in life.
Seems like you've done a lot within your life. Unfortunately, we're wrapping up on time, but one final question. If you would give one piece of advice that you would like to leave with us, because you've had a lot of setbacks, but also a lot of successes, what would that be?
Sure. I would say 3 Ps is something that I live by. Passion, persistence, and perseverance. Be passionate about what you do. Be persistent in achieving the things you want to achieve, and be prepared to persevere when things get hard, because not everything's going to be easy. But if you can persevere through the tough times and be persistent to accomplish what you want to do, and you have passion towards what you're trying to do, it always, always overcomes those you're competing against, maybe with more talent. So that would be my experience and suggestion.
Well, unfortunately, that's all the time we have today. Mr. Chair, thank you so much for coming out.
Thank you,
For
Luke.
Neuqua Connections, I'm Luke Townsend.